Today's comes from the land down under, as we talked of earlier. Luke Prokopec is an Aussie whose father was so enraptured by the game that he turned his entire town onto it. So Prokopec gets the ball, and he's struggled of late. He is winless in his last 3 starts. Stay with us. We've got more ahead. Jason Priestley will reenact that stirring speech by Lou Gehrig, and you'll meet an athlete who has battled A.L.S. A profile of golfer Jeff Julian when the pregame show continues in just a moment.
Got good speed. He'll be running in the crack of the bat. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Swung on and drilled in the alley toward left. Fick on his horse. He dives, and he makes the catch. What a play by Robert Fick. And the Tigers get out of the jam. That ball was hit hard.
First the shadow of Babe Ruth and that of Joe DiMaggio. But Lou Gehrig was truly one of the greatest players in baseball history. He averaged 147 RBIs for his career and played in 2,130 straight games, a streak that earned him the distinction as Iron Man until Cal Ripken exceeded it. Gehrig's streak ended when it became apparent he couldn't make the simple plays anymore, and ultimately he was diagnosed with a rare degenerative disease that took his life, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. Gehrig said goodbye to baseball on July 4th of 1939. In a moment, actor Jason Priestley will recreate that stirring speech made at Yankee Stadium. It was a game against the Tigers that Gehrig pulled himself out of because he felt like he just couldn't do it anymore. And thus the streak came to an end. Of course, Gehrig had taken over for Wally Pipp, but suddenly his body was just racked by the disease that ultimately had his name attached to it. A.L.S. became known as Lou Gehrig's disease, and Gehrig died at the tender age of 41. Obviously, A.L.S. affects people in all walks of life. It knocked down the physical specimen that was Gehrig and has tragically affected other skilled athletes as well. The golfing dreams of Jeff Julian are gradually slipping away, and Steve Davis has more for us in this Fox Sports Extra. The story of Jeff Julian now.
He is in his 40th year of life, and quite likely his last in professional golf.
I am still living my dream.
Jeff Julian's only career win came 5 years ago on the Nike Tour. His best PGA finish is 16th, yet his name is now being mentioned in the same sentence as one of the greatest and most tragic figures in sports history.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
He has been stricken with A.L.S., the same degenerative disease that took Lou Gehrig's life 6 decades ago. Jeff Julian is dying.
It's no time to leave. I don't want to. No one wants to.
The diagnosis came last October, less than a year after the Julians were married. There is no known cause. There is no cure.
If you have an off shot, you hit the shot over water, and you see the ball going in the water, it will. If you see the ball over the water, mainly on green, it will. And so it's the way you have to think.
You choose to focus on what we'd like to see happen, not what the doctors say will happen.
Playing on the PGA Tour is big money. One shot can cost a player hundreds of thousands of dollars. But when the guy in your group, one of your friends, is literally in a fight for his life, all of a sudden a bad drive or a missed putt doesn't quite seem so important.
That's phenomenal what Jeff Julian's doing. It almost makes me want to cry when I think about him because he's going through a lot.
He's extremely impressive, and, you know, I applaud him for getting out here and getting after it.
he's got a tough thing to deal with, and puts things in perspective for me. Obviously, what I've gone through, it pales in comparison.
Nearly 50% of those afflicted with this insidious disease die within 18 months. Julian, who swallows 60 pills and undergoes an IV treatment every day, is only scheduled to play one more PGA event this year. His focus will then shift to his health and his message.
Well, there is awareness. We try not to be complacent and just do anything and try anything we need to fight this.
Not giving up, in other words. Not without a fight, anyway.
Jeff Julian will go out swinging, and while he'll play golf as long as he can, he will be a role model forever.
I'm especially proud of him, yes. He's always been an extraordinary person. So this doesn't surprise me.
We wish the best to Jeff Julian and his battles ahead. Any baseball fan is familiar with the stirring speech that Lou Gehrig delivered to Yankee Stadium in 1939. It's being recreated now by actor Jason Priestley here at Comerica Park as Major League Baseball celebrates Project A.L.S. Day.
Today I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. I have been in ballparks for 17 years and have never received anything but kindness and encouragement from you fans. Look at these grand men. Which of you wouldn't consider it the highlight of his career just to associate with them for even one day? Sure, I'm lucky. Who wouldn't consider it an honor to have known Jacob Rupert, also the builder of baseball's greatest empire, Ed Barrow? To have spent 6 years with that wonderful little fellow, Miller Huggins, then to have spent the next 9 years with that outstanding leader, that smart student of psychology, the best manager in baseball today, Joe McCarthy. Sure, I'm lucky. When the New York Giants, a team you'd give your right arm to beat and vice versa, sends you a gift, that's something. When everybody down to the groundskeepers and those boys in white coats remember you with trophies, that's something. When you have a wonderful mother-in-law who takes sides with you and squabbles with her own daughter, that's something. When you have a father and a mother who work all their lives so you can have an education and build your body, it's a blessing. When you have a wife who has been a tower of strength and shown more courage than you dreamed existed, that's the finest I know. So I close in saying that I may have had a tough break, but I have an awful lot to live for.
Jason Priestley with the words of Lou Gehrig spoken on July 4th of 1939. People at Yankee Stadium knew that the end was near for Lou Gehrig, and in fact it arrived 2 years later. So that puts baseball in a little bit of perspective for us as we open the month of June in 2002. Tigers have lost 2 straight. Toronto had lost 6 straight before they beat Detroit last night. It's game 2 of the series tonight. That's it for the pregame show. I'm John Keating. Now let's get you back to the studio. Here again is Matt Biondi. Matt.
John, thank you so much, and our prayers are out, of course, to Jeff Julian as well. Don't forget to keep it right here for the Detroit Sports Report immediately following the Tigers game. Here's a look at the stories we're following. We'll take you to the Wings and Avs series, a look back, and also a look ahead to the Stanley Cup Finals. It's wall-to-wall Wings tonight on the Detroit Sports Report, and we're going to want to stick around for all that following the Tigers game. We'll have all that and more on the Detroit Sports Report. Time now for Tiger Baseball.